Honorable Mrs. Mayotte, Honorable Mrs. Fooy, Honorable Mrs. Subhashini Dashmurthy, President of Council Mrs. Caroline Samir, President of Parliament Mrs. Sandra, Representative of United Nations Association, dear distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today we are very honored to have you among us for this leadership forum. As you know, the New China Foundation mission is to revive the character of Portuguese through regenerating the heart of a character which is Chinatown. The purpose leads us to undertake several waves of action. First, as you can see in the video, first is to protect what's left, is to protect our heritage, culture, and tradition in Mauritius. The second thing what we do also is to bring back the confidence by building the spirit of the dragon. Momentum of action, strong belief, commitment and dedication into a common goal for the next generation of Mauritius. We prepare also the new generation to stand up, dare to dream, to say, and dare to do. Only through a new mindset, doing the same thing but differently, that can help to bring a new hope or a new era in Mauritius. We need also to empower the women. That's why everybody is here today, to empower the women in Mauritius, bring more equality, justice, and respect towards our mothers, aunties, friends, and even families. We need also to care more about our ideas, having planned for a new digital integration or adaptation. The last mission is we do believe in one world, one dream. We need to stay well connected. That's why we're also going to have the legacy of Egypt today with us. To stay connected, we need to share and learn more from each other and from each different cultures. We need to build also more bridges, exchange and help reinforcing the diplomatic ties between Mauritius and between different China in the world. That's why we're here today. In fact, we're also happy to have all of you among us. And today the forum is about the women empowerment. This is our first forum by New China Foundation. We have been doing a lot of events for empowering women, but for a forum of leadership of women is our first event. And we're also lucky to have a very great team behind us. Even the mention, we have Janshini Sincha as the president of the vice president of the New China Foundation President. And so that you can see so many events, more than 100 events that we have been doing every year. And now, this month and next month, we have events every week. At least 1 or 2 events every week that we are going to perform. And I would say a big thank you also to our vice president, Kadi. We need to have a very strong woman behind us to be able to do this. And I love to invite Kadi to continue this leadership forum. Thank you.
Now, gender equality is certainly a fundamental human right, but it's also a necessary foundation for a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. There has been a lot of progress within the last decades. More and more girls are getting education with even better results than boys, right? And fewer girls are being forced into early marriages. More women are serving in key positions, whether in business, communities, or elsewhere. And we have more and more laws being reformed to advance gender equality. However, many challenges still remain. Women leadership will not happen automatically. Women continue to be underrepresented in many sectors. So today, for today's talk, I would like to invite a few women who I believe have achieved leadership in Mauritius to join me and share their experience. First of all, let me call Caroline Samir on stage. Caroline is the president of Shun Koon Society, and she has been involved for many years in social work. The next invitee is Her Excellency Dr. Samir, Ambassador of the Arab Republic of Egypt in Mauritius. And then we have Honorable Sandra Mayotte, Member of Parliament, who is also the Ambassador of the Trianon Foundation. Last but not all, Sandra President of Trianon. Now, before I move on stage to start the talk, I'd just like to mention something I just learned a few minutes earlier. We have today with us Honorable Jacori. She's the first Lord Mayor, female Lord Mayor in Mauritius. And not only the first Lord Mayor, but so far the only one. Be easier for all of us. Okay. So you are currently the ambassador of the Egypt Embassy in Mauritius. Would you mind telling us your story and how you became ambassador?
Well, I'm a daughter of a diplomat. My late father was an ambassador as well, and my uncle was an ambassador, and my brother is also a diplomat, and I have two cousins who are ambassadors. So I come from a diplomatic family. So I would say I entered the service like a horse wearing blinkers. I just went straight into the service, following in my dad's footsteps. I would say it's a very challenging job to be a diplomat. It's not an easy thing, especially if you're a woman, and you need an enabler, especially a male enabler. And my enabler was my father, of course, my late father. I just lost my father. So he always challenged me, always pushed me, and he always wanted me to do better. And I had a very good, also first male boss. And you know, it's like when you have a good boss in the beginning, it's like you're made. You know your situation is cut out for you. So he encouraged me to study. He encouraged me to do my first masters, and then I went on to finish my MPhil and then my PhD. So definitely you need an enabler to encourage you and to believe in yourself. And you have to believe in yourself first and foremost. And you have to work hard, and you have to be disciplined, and you must not take no for an answer. And the word impossible shouldn't exist in your dictionary. At least I tried my best that it shouldn't exist in my dictionary. So the key thing is to believe in yourself, work hard, and be disciplined, very self-disciplined, and to learn from others. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. So you learn from your other people's mistakes, and so that you can proceed after their mistakes, you learn from them. And you pass on the baton to the younger generation. So that my daughter is in the room, so you teach her and others your experiences, and you mentor them and you guide them. That's it.
Thank you. I'm sure your brother is very proud of you. Your father is very, very proud of you. And I think you said something which is very important, believe in yourself. That's most important. Okay? Now, Mauritius Constitution guarantees equality among all citizens. But we only have 21% of women with a position in parliament, and 30% of women hold senior position in Mauritius. Before I ask Her Excellency about the position in Egypt, I would like to pass on to Sandra, Honorable Sandra Mayotte first, to tell us why do we have so few women in politics?
Thank you, Kathleen. First of all, let me greet Her Excellency, all those courageous, powerful, and beautiful ladies, my colleagues of the National Assembly, and also the gentleman present today. And I would like also to thank the New Chinatown Foundation for organizing such an interesting event today to allow women to express themselves. So to answer to your question, Kathleen, it is a fact. It is a fact that women are generally underrepresented in political offices. Importantly, although there is a large variation across countries, gender equality, inequality in political empowerments, It's documented in every region worldwide. It's not only in Mauritius, but it's worldwide, including in those countries that are most socially and economically advanced. I think that the main reasons for the gender gap in political ambition appear to be that women are maybe less encouraged to engage themselves in politics than men. Then there is also the family issue, children, husband, and so on. Then there is also another reason that these women are less likely to believe that they are qualified to become politicians than men. We are more likely to lead through inspiration. We are all likely to lead, I'm talking about women, through inspiration, transforming people's attitudes and beliefs, and aligning people with meaning and purpose rather than through carrots and sticks like men do. Throughout history, I'm sorry, excusez-moi monsieur, je suis désolée, ce n'est que la vérité. Throughout this history, we have told women that they are too kind and caring to become politicians. But the notion that someone who is not kind and caring can lead effectively is at odds with reality, because we are not living in medieval times. 21st century leadership demands that leaders establish an emotional connection with their followers, and men can learn a lot about how to do this effectively by watching and emulating women doing politics. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. I think you mentioned a lot of points that we'll pick up later during the conversation that we have, right? So maybe I just turn up to Her Excellency. In Egypt, what is the situation?
And the situation is quite similar, as Her Excellency said, it's all over the world, it's a similar situation in Egypt, but we have made impressive strides. For example, in 2000, we set up the National Women's Council, and it is led by the president is a woman, and she is reporting directly to the president, and she's of the level of a minister. We have, for example, in 2007, we have at least 33 judges, and we have 25% of the diplomatic corps is comprised of women. 33% are the young cadets are women. We have women, 15% in heading board of directors are women. Women are getting more access to banks, bank accounts, microfinancing. We have women as the head of the journal, newspapers, and editors-in-chief. Many women are becoming editors-in-chief. So the situation is evolving. 56% of women are holders of postgraduate degrees. So the holders of postgraduate, 56% are women. 54% of all university graduates are women. So women are embracing more education. They're embracing more. We launched, for example, my badge here. This is the face of a woman, and it is making everything feminine. So, for example, Arabic Gamil, feminine Gamila. So this teh marbuta means everything is feminine. So it was launched under the leadership of the President Sisi to encourage women role models, so that women become more visible to society, and women are role models for the younger generation, the women from unfortunate backgrounds, so they are inspired. So this is, and the president just recently honored lots of women in many different fields. One of them is my mentor in the ministry, and women who are like dealing with disabled, women in arts, women in the rural areas. So everyone is honored, not just the women in white-collar jobs, no, women who are struggling to make a living in the rural areas and coming from unfortunate backgrounds. And he's telling people, when you talk to a woman, it's just his recent statement, when you talk to a woman, you talk to a woman with your hands behind your back to show respect, that you shouldn't be aggressive. For example, we installed in this something called the sexual violence combating unit in every government office and every ministerial office, so that there is a hotline to protect women. We have, for example, we launched a strategy for protecting women in the COVID era and the lockdown and the confinement, because women, like here in Mauritius, were suffering at the hands of a violent partner who was frustrated because of lack of jobs, and all of this. Took it out on the women, so there was a hotline installed during the COVID era. So women are becoming more and more visible and are contributing more to the society. Thank you.
Yeah, it's encouraging to hear that there's so much being done to push forward women, right? But I heard something that you said, and it's addressed to all the men here. Remember, put your hand behind your back when you talk to us, right? Okay. So I think recently we have had many studies on gender equality as well. And a lot of studies have shown that gender diversity within a management team, right, shows that the team gets more and better performance, right? So, Honorable Sandra Mayotte, okay, why do you think that women leadership is so important?
Kathleen, I think that women leaders of today, first of all, are tenacious and diverse. They are mobilizing the global climate movement, pushing for social protection and addressing the COVID-19 crisis and dismantling systemic racial discrimination. Around the world, women leaders improve lives and inspire a better future for all. Yet equality is still far off, and progress on women's participation in decision-making is very slow, unfortunately. Too many people still believe men make natural and better leaders than women. Too many institutions are set up to favor and propel men's leadership. When women become leaders, they provide a very different set of skills, imaginative perspectives, and importantly structural and cultural differences that drive effective solutions. These past 2 years, more than any other year, we should celebrate women in leadership. The COVID-19 pandemic has fallen heavily on the shoulders of women. Many have lost sources of livelihood. Most have triple duty, caring for their families, managing households, and holding down economic activities. And some have faced the brunt of the pandemic as frontliners and essential service providers. Yet others have stepped up to also solve challenges in their communities. So, why is women leadership so important, Kathleen? For most, it is a matter of equity and human rights. You told it in your introduction earlier, both of which are cornerstones of a democratic society. All women and all men deserve equal opportunities to pursue fulfilling careers and lives, and put structures in place to help others live up to their potential and drive meaningful change. We should engage more women to realize that they already have superpowers they can invoke to solve problems and lead locally, nationally, and internationally. They should trust in these superpowers. Once of observing, listening, and learning, empathizing with others, experimenting and persevering when doing what's hard, what seems to be hard, and crystallizing lessons into actions that bring systemic change. But most importantly, we should encourage them to not be afraid to dream big or to start small as seeking solutions to the day-to-day problems facing us. It is a fact that the pandemic has magnified the extent and impact of inequality, and we need radical transformations of our political, economic, and social system to overcome the current health, economic, and social crisis. This transformation will only be possible through changing the way in which we make decisions and shape policies, through inclusion and participation, particularly of the underprivileged and those who are often voiceless. Women in leadership are resilient. Resilience involves one's ability to withstand or recover quickly for challenging situations.
I think coming back to what was said earlier, believe in yourself.
Exactly, we should believe in ourselves.
Right. And as well as having the equal opportunity to do things, right? So let me now turn towards Caroline. Caroline is the president of one of the oldest association in Mauritius. Nam Shun Fooy Koon Society exists for more than 160 years. Tell us a bit about yourself. What prompted you to become a president of such a big association?
First of all, I would like to go back in time so that you know a bit about my background. My parents are both from China, and since childhood, I have accompanied them to different functions, and that was where I already started to meet people within the circle of the Chinese community, and little by little, I observed the Chinese people's devotion and contribution to make a better life and a better society. And that is how I got soaked in the tradition and culture. I have served for many years in societies, and during the last 6 years, I've been a secretary and for National Fooy Koon Society. This year, the committee members chose, elected, and voted me as president. I guess it is because of my leadership quality and skill, sense of belonging, team building, hard work, responsibility, and the fact of always putting first and foremost the welfare of the association. And also for my diligent and accurate follow-up, which most of the time may call it napping. Yeah. I take this opportunity to thank all my committee members for their trust in having me as a woman president.
Thank you, Caroline. I think you should be proud that you have chosen rather than having to fight for it. So it means that you merit the place, right? So continue to nap. Okay. Now, female leaders compared to men leaders are more likely to be open to new ideas and opinions. We women who are more keen to adopt a democratic or participating style. I think these are very useful skills, especially in associations where we are constantly required to find new ways to progress or to attract the young generation to join the team. Sandra Koon is president of the Lien club, Trianon. In your view, why do we don't see many women in association as president or leaders? Is it because we are not giving the opportunity to do so?
Thank you, Kathleen, for that question, and thank you, everyone, and thank you to Mr. Jean-Bernard and also the New Chinese Foundation for putting this, making this happen. I'm very happy to be here as an advocate of women, and I think, like you said, Kathleen, that today women are underrepresented in the National Assembly. Studies have actually shown that that's also the case in organizations around the world. And I have to actually say that that's also the case in most associations. For example, in my associations, in the last 45 years, we have had 32 presidents, out of which we only had 5 female leaders. So to answer your question, I would want to go a bit down in history. So basically, for decades now, the society has shaped the way we see things, right? So women, the role of women was seen as giving birth, taking care of the house, of the family, of the husband, cooking, doing all these things at home. And so basically it has shaped the stereotype to say that the position, and actually shape the way that we see what's the purpose of men and women in life. And basically that's why we see that, a few years back, I'm sure a lot of people here would relate to this, boys were actually sent to school to get educated, to be financially independent. And unfortunately, girls were left at home because they had to help the mother do the chores. So those little boys, we grew up in the image thinking that, they were the one who have to financially support the family. And the girls, unfortunately, they grew up thinking, well, my role is to play a more submissive role. And I can't actually voice out what I'm thinking. I just have to do it because I've been told to do it. So it's really about do it, don't complain, or don't say anything. So basically, those women had little drive and little motivation to be successful in life. However, we have seen that with time this has actually changed. For example, in Mauritius, education is now free for boys and girls. So now they both have the opportunity to be educated and be financially independent. Also, we can see that in the house now, the husband and the wife play, they have a shared role now. We can actually see, I'm probably among the lucky ones who have my husband do the cooking, the washing, raise my son. We do it together. But actually, having his support and his help allows me to get out there. So he's here. And he's here today. So this actually gives us the space, to think, to do things that we love, and also to go out there and try and want to do things, thrive in the professional as well as personal and in our career, right? So, well, studies also has, as you said, I have been reading a lot on women equality, and actually studies have found that it's true, and it's really true, that girls, women, are actually more educated than men. Very surprising, hey? So that says that, it actually makes us realize that women have a lot of potential. I believe that the society has made us grow in such a way that women are very scared to take on roles of leaders, but we should not be scared to dream big and try to achieve our dreams.
Thank you, Sandra. I totally agree with you. I think it's good in a household sharing rather than only on one side with the Koon and the other one just sit and look. But then we are progressing, but unfortunately perhaps not fast enough.
I have to say as well that in my association, as Caroline, I actually was a bit scared to do it because, before we actually decide or accept to take the role of the president, we actually tend to think what qui dit moi peut dire. Qui dit moi peut dire quand je connais qui Savanne n'est pas la case. Il peut prendre en compte ses enfants. A lot of people actually judge us, and we tend to be instead of saying past this thing, women in general tend to be so they feel guilty. But in my association, I'm the president, but I had also a woman. I wanted a woman vice president, so we're trying to break the bias.
Now, we hear both of you being woman president. Maybe we should turn back to Caroline. As a woman president of the association, one of the oldest one in Mauritius, what challenges do you face, and what you think you could do better than your previous mayor presidents?
Time changes and so do challenges. Ever since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, a new normal has been approach, bringing along new challenges and new realities?
My committee members treat me as an equal with the same respect, friendship, and trust as the past male presidents. Just being a woman president, I think, have contributed towards a change in mindset and mentality of women and men who generally consider that the president should be a man. As a woman, I put a lot of emphasis on effective communication and accountability with a higher dose of compassion and empathy.
Yes, I think that's the way forward, right? Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, all of you have mentioned somehow the recent pandemic, which have made us to think a bit differently and to act as well differently, or to reinvent ourselves. Now, many associations during those 2 years, 2 last years of pandemic, couldn't carry out much of the activities, right? And with the working from home policy, it's been very stressful somehow for women who have to work from home, look after the child who's still at home, the husband at home, waiting for food to be put on the table and so on. So I think for some people it has been very stressful for women. And maybe, I don't know whether this has affected the progression of women. I would like to put the question to Sandra. She works in the HR, so maybe she can share her views.
Yes, actually, the pandemic has been a very tragic and very sad story for the world. We've seen people, I mean, we've seen probably, if we haven't actually lost our beloved one, who lost the fight against the COVID-19. I'm sure we all know people who, a friend, a family, a colleague who actually went through this. So I would just like to share my experience, and it has been really been a tough situation during the pandemic. What happened, especially if we go back 3 years ago when the pandemic was still, the COVID-19 was still a novel virus. What happened is that there was this panic around the world. There was, countries around the world, including Mauritius, were put into lockdowns, partial lockdowns to total lockdown. So, we were not actually used to this situation. Before the pandemic, I never worked from home. So basically, I had to readjust to this. And then I had my little son, who I didn't know what to do with him because there was no school. So basically, those women had to continue managing, taking care of the kids. And I can tell you, it was not easy. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but what happened is that during the pandemic, teachers, my son had 4 teachers who took care of him at kindergarten. He was still one year old at the time of the first pandemic. All 4 teachers was constantly sending us things to do, homework, do this, painting, watch this video, do this, and do scribbling, do this. And we were at home, no help, because my parents live in Port Louis and I live in Event, so no help. My in-laws were very far away. They couldn't even get to us because they didn't have a special one. So basically we had to take care of the kids and also do our work. I can tell you during the pandemic, work wasn't even easier. It was actually harder because the difference was that when we were in the office, people actually gave you 15 minutes in between meetings to get from here to there. Now when you're at home and they know that we are having meeting via Zoom, Skype or Teams, you don't need 15 minutes to walk around the office. It's okay to do back-to-back meetings. But nobody actually thought about, I have to make food for, I have 2 kids, a big kid, of course my husband, and a small kid. So basically I had to cook, I had to make sure that the house was clean, I had to attend meetings, I had to do my presentations, and I do everything. And actually studies have found that the number of burnouts following pandemic was higher in women. And a lot of women, unfortunately, had to give up on their dreams because they could not manage work, the kids having to cook, having to go and find food. It was really tough. So yeah, it definitely, this has actually had a huge impact negatively on the progression of women. And one last thing that I would want to add as well is, with the pandemic, it had a negative impact on the economy. And a lot of people, unfortunately, because organizations like had to cut costs, were laid off. A lot of these people were women, and unfortunately, these women found their dreams crashed in a day. The next day, like, they went to bed one night, the next day in the morning, they were fired. And unfortunately, they had to just, decide to just take on roles that were less rewarding or just compromise. So all the sacrifices of all so many years were just vanished in thin air. So yeah, definitely that had a huge impact negatively on women progression.
Yeah, I hear that, but I also believe women can bounce back. And we will definitely bounce back, right? So let me go back a little bit earlier to what you said about some time back. When our parents, we thought that girls were not good, but they have to have boys, right? So in the Chinese culture, women are often seen to be docile and expected to give up their career to look after the home and children. Although this is less common now, we still see less women as leaders. I don't know, I think you touched on that a bit earlier, saying that because it's in the mindset of some people, right? But it's changing slowly. So maybe I would like to pass on this question to Caroline. I think you still think we're not given same opportunity as men, as now, or this is changing? I believe that women are more leaders or better at management because since they were kids at home, they had to manage the home, look after maybe younger brothers and sisters, helping the cooking, managing the homework, and everything. So anyway, fortunately things are changing now. Women have earned their place in society. Generations of Chinese women and men have grown up with ideas of gender equality and balance. As Mao Zedong himself said, women hold up half of the sky. 33% of married women under the age of 40 earn more than their husbands. Nowadays, grandparents help raise their grandchildren, which is a big key factor that propels women to upper echelons of business and corporations. Education has been a vital point in the lives of women. Since the government has voted for free education, all children have had a fair and equal right and chance to study to improve their lifestyle. Thus, many women are university graduates. Nowadays, women are no longer as docile as they were before, as they work and support the household financially, and thus they have their say in all decisions that are taken together. Though not extremists, women affirm their rights.
So I think that yes, we are progressing, we are standing up on our 2 feet now, but then we still see women leaders going unnoticed, right? While I was preparing for this talk, and I was doing some research, I found out that there's scarcity of female role models in leadership positions. So I posed the question to Her Excellency, what can we do for there to be greater visibility of women leaders?
Thank you for the question. I think the most important thing is mentoring. Women have to have mentoring programs, training programs. You should provide them with, for example, access to microcredit if they are entrepreneurs, access to consultancy, so that they know what they are doing and how to market their products. So you have to empower women economically. When a woman is empowered economically and she doesn't rely on a man, she has the wings to fly. So this is very important. For example, in Egypt, we launched something called the Gender Job Accelerator Program for entrepreneurship. We launched the Executive Female Leadership Program. We launched something called Poetic Harfati. It means my strength is in my artisan. So if women, like even underprivileged women, they know how to, for example, make broderie or basket making or simple things, they can sell these products and become economically independent. You have to have a quota for female recruits in any company, affirmative action, as my predecessor just mentioned. You have to have a quota for women in the board of directors. But women should rise on meritocracy, not by women being using their feminine powers and all of this nonsense that you watch in soap operas. No, women have to be taken seriously. So if they want to be taken seriously, they have to look serious. They shouldn't just say, oh yes, I'm a woman, I can get away with being eye candy and whatever. I don't want to continue the cliche. And then you have to also allow women to flourish in their dual role, because we are all mothers, we are all wives, we are all, in Egypt, for example, 25% of all women households are women-led households. 25%. It's a big amount. So, especially in Cairo, the capital, which is 20 million. 20 million people are living in Cairo. So, you're here 1 million point something, we have 20 million just Cairo alone. So, you have to allow women to perform their dual role. It shouldn't be at odds with each other to be a woman working in the job and then at home being a mother and a wife and all. They shouldn't be at odds with one another. There shouldn't be a trade-off. We should be allowed to be women, be wives, be mothers, also work in the workplace. And so the workplace has to cater to us as women. They introduce flexi workplace. And I believe that when the Western feminists were calling for equality, they did this a big disservice, because women and men are not equals. We are not equals. You are a woman and he is a man. You cannot compare apples and oranges. You cannot compare. So when you compare them, you put them at a disservice. We have a different way of thinking, we have a different way of behaving. So we are nurturers, as my predecessor mentioned. We are enablers, we have empathy. Why should we be forced to think like a man in the workplace? We will never be a man. We will never be a man. You are a woman. So you have to embrace yourself as a woman, and you, as my predecessor just said, you deal with your job, and as a woman will do it. Multitasking, use your intuition, use your creativity, your eye for detail. You have an eye for detail which your male colleague does not have. So we have to, we should not compete at the same race as the man, because we have a different race to compete with. We have a different burden. And the worrying thing in society is now that there is a high rise of divorce rates. Why? Because we women have evolved. All my predecessors, they just mentioned, we have evolved, our role has evolved historically. Now we were not allowed to get education, now we have education, we're not allowed to work, now we are allowed to work. But the man more or less has stayed the same. He has not evolved as we have evolved. We are different. So when the man comes home, he's expecting the woman to serve him hand and foot, and dote on him, and still at the end of the day be a woman. Come on. There's only 24 hours. We are not superwoman. Why should we be superwoman? We don't need to be an alien in order to achieve what we have to do. We are just a human being. We are a normal human being. We have challenges, we have stresses, we have everything. We should be allowed to be women, not to be a man in the workplace, and in the home we should. I coined this expression, excuse my goodness, in the office. Sometimes women have to kick ass in order to be accepted. And at home, sorry, excuse my language, they kiss ass. They have to appease their husbands. Why should we have to appease anyone? We just be as we are. So this is the main thing, is that we have to be we really embrace our femininity in the positive sense. That we are women, have a lot to contribute, whether in the workplace and at home. We should expect the dual role of the spouse, as my predecessor just said. The dual role of the spouse is a dual role household, not just the woman solo doing everything solo, married to herself.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Excellency. This is so beautifully said. So we point at now clear, very clear to all of you, show that gender equality really matters. Okay, so as Excellency has mentioned, Africa lot goes into training and mentoring. So the United Nations is working around the world to enable more women to take the rightful seats at decision-making tables. There are a lot of women leadership programs which have been launched with an aim to empower women and to create impact. So is that one of the ways that we should go forward to make us more visible? Sandra?
I think so, Kathleen. It can be the way forward to make women leaders more visible. In fact, training and capacity building are essential to converting ambition and commitments into measurable and impactful change. Even though women are vaulting into leadership spaces, our communities remain obstinately, unfortunately, resistant to women in leadership. The patriarchy too often perceives women as too delicate to lead. This trend, among many other deeply seated and unconscious gender biases, force potential women leaders to withdraw into their shells. And that's what we see often. We often see that in Mauritius and worldwide. Yet, women possess inherently strong attitudes that can help lead more effectively. The Women Leadership Program aims to deliver training and awareness-raising activities to many more women worldwide, to building skills, providing coaching and mentoring opportunities, and organizing high-level events to achieve transformational change in the empowerment of women in context critical to sustainable development processes. And I would like, if you allow me, Kathleen, just to ouvrir une petite parenthèse. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think that we actually have 20 women sitting at the National Assembly. We have 16 women in the majority and 4 in the opposition. I think that we can stay hopeful, because I think it's the first time that we have so many women sitting at the National Assembly. And this is something great, I think. The government counts on women also. The Prime Minister believes in the potential of women, and he's struggling so that we can have more and more women in politics and more women at the National Assembly. And we can hope, I think, that this is going to happen, not tomorrow maybe, but in a very, very near future. Because having 20 women sitting at the National Assembly, I think it's something exceptional.
Indeed. So we really do hope that in the future years we'll see more and more women being encouraged to join. Turning back to Sandra Koon. Sandra, you also, you work in one of the big banks in the HR, Human Resource Department. We heard that mentoring, training, a lot of encouragement is important to help women progress. But in your views, what else can be done to unlock the potential of women to be leaders of tomorrow?
I do agree that training, coaching, mentoring will definitely help, because it actually builds leadership competencies. That's 100% true. But I think we should also remember that, today we actually celebrate women's achievement during International Women's Day. So that's one day in 365 days, right? So it's true. We've seen organizations from around the world, in Mauritius as well. You know, on that day, my Facebook feed was flooded with videos of women doing this and this, which, you know, it's really heartwarming. Like, I was very happy to see this. But, you know, like we say, ça t'a le plaisir, Saint-Valentin. Pas le 16 jours, ça, tous les jours. Mais pareil, vous autres. Donc, celebrating women has to be something which is done 365 days a year. We should be able to put us out there and say, okay, this is what this woman has been able to achieve. So that's one thing. And then I believe that, I mean, we did mention mentoring, coaching, etc. But there's a fun fact that I would want to share with you. You know, when we started talking, I mean, the world started talking about women equality, you know, breaking the bias. I've been doing a bit of research, and actually I found an interesting fact saying that in organization, okay, we've seen that men are more risk-takers than women. I'll explain why I'm saying that. So basically, when there is a job vacancy, for example, we've seen that women are more conservative. So basically, and I can take this on myself as well, I'll go through the whole list of the job description to make sure that I fit 100%, if not 200%, to what has been put out there. However, studies have found that men, if they have 50% fit, 60, 75% fit, they'll apply for the job. So we know that in a race, okay, we have runners, we have a number of runners in the starting block, and then there's usually one person who finishes first, right? So it's similar to this. Let's just say we are doing a recruitment, which is basically the same thing. It's like a course, okay? So if we have more, if the ratio of men applying for these jobs are higher than women, I'll let you do the maths to say that it's more likely that men will finish and be chosen in that job. So women has to realize that we are born leaders, okay? There's, I mean, petite anecdote, very often when, you know, the day starts, have so many things to do in my diary. 30 minutes later, come back to my husband and I said, okay, you know, I did that, and I did that. My husband's like, it's only 30 minutes ago. How did you do that? And I'm like, multitasking, because women, that's our greatest assets, right? So we should not forget that we do have the potentials. We were born leaders. We are in the workplace, we are at home, we are in the National Assembly, we are everywhere, right? So basically, what I'm saying here is that we have to believe in ourselves first. That's the first starting point. And then, of course, we have to make sure that we surround ourselves with people who will raise up to success. A lot of time, unfortunately, and I have actually experienced that as well, seen that in organization, where we have actually women who are disruptive of other women's work. And it is very, very sad to see that. So as women, we have to stand by other women and help them raise, because if we don't do this, no one will. So for me, that's something that's very important as well. And of course, I mean, I feel sorry for the men who are here today. But I have to but I also have to say that we need you as well. We need your support and your sponsorship. You've been doing that for a long time, and we actually can benefit from your experience and you know, and your support. And then to finish, there's one thing which holds me at heart. I am a proud mother of a little 2-year-old boy, as I was mentioning before. But I think this change starts with the parents. The reason why I'm here today is because I have grown up in a family where both parents have been financially independent. My father, for example, allowed my mother to do what she needed to do to be successful. And he was the pillar, the support of my mother's success. And this is how I was seeing things. And I think today this is basically the reason why I have the strength to do what I'm doing today. And also, this for me, I think my mission as a mother is to raise my son, and by helping him understand that in the future he'll have to support his wife. He'll have to push her and give her all the space that she needs and all the encouragement that she needs to be successful. And not, say that she needs to be, she needs to spend all her time at home taking care of the kids. No. Actually, this is a true story. During the pandemic last year, I actually went and bought a kitchenette for my little son because I want to teach him. It's okay, it's not girly, but I can tell you at the counter, I actually asked the guy who was there, do you have this in blue? And he said to me, no, we only have this in pink. And I'm like, why don't you have this in blue? I'm buying this for my son. And I can tell you, he rolled his eyes because he thought that it was not okay for me to buy a kitchenette for my son. I didn't care. I bought the pink kitchenette, brought it home, and I can tell you today, my son is with me cutting the vegetables, cutting cheese. I mean, of course, more in the mouth. The next time I look around, nothing's there. But I mean, it starts from here. And as parents, even daughters, we have to give them, this confidence to empower them to say that it's okay to do mistakes. It's okay, but you actually worth a lot, and you can actually dream big, and you have to dream big. So yes.
Thank you, Sandra. I think the message is very clear to all the men in the room today. And to the parents as well. Okay, but you said something, we can be born as leaders, but I also believe that we can be groomed to be leaders, right? So I tried to cover it. I know when you were young, we were speaking together the last time. When you were young, you suffered a lot of hardship, but you still managed in your own field to become a leader. Okay? Tell us about it. I'm sure your story will inspire the young.
I hope so. I mean, it's very nice that nowadays women are holding key positions in all economic sectors and way of life. Even in the political sphere, we have had a woman president of the Republic of Mauritius. But now I would like to take you behind closed doors. In home, usually there's a going that says behind every successful man there's a woman. This is very true. I would like to tell you about my personal experience, and I hope that this will help some women nowadays. I am a divorced woman, and being a divorced woman, this means that I'm a second-class citizen. I mean, that's what it is to other people's eyes, even to women and even to men. When my husband left, I had 2 kids to look after, and I didn't have a job, I didn't have money. So I started looking for other things, and job and all that, because at first I did work, because my husband said it's nice to stay at home with the kids. And suddenly I found myself with a certain level of living going down, and without money, I didn't have anything. And people didn't respect me. So I think that I'm sorry for the men, but I think that when the men leave the woman, they leave her without anything, and they don't care. According to statistics, the poorest people in the world, most of them are women because they are single parent family. My story, I hope that this will enhance other people to strive because we women are very strong people, and we can do anything. We can be the husband, the wife, the father, the mother, the whatever for the children. And now my children are grown up, and they are both in the States and they are working. So we ourselves worked hard, the three of us, to achieve whatever they wanted to achieve. They had big ambitions in life, and we went through all that, trying to help, trying to get financial help from other people, because being jobless, I couldn't get a loan for the boys' education. So we had some people lending us money, and went through all this hardship. But today, I'm very proud of myself. And I'm very proud of my children as well. And I hope that my story will inspire other women not to be ashamed of themselves, because at first I was very ashamed of being a divorced woman, because people look down on me. People would say, when they meet me, they would say, your children will be drug addicts. That's the first thing people would say to you. And there was, that was about 20 years ago, but even like a few years back, there was a young man who started doing drugs, and then I could hear other women saying, c'est normal, because their parents are divorced. And I could stop myself going to these people and telling them, I am a divorced woman, and my children are not drug addicts. So you can't just say bad things about divorced parents or children coming from divorced and broken families, but this is the stigma that people put on you. If you are divorced, then there's something wrong with the woman, not with the man. The man always right. You know, if you are divorced, then the woman has done something wrong, right? Which is real. I think this is my experience, and I find it everywhere. And I mean, this is what I like to say to women, to inspire women, because this is all behind closed doors. I mean, outside you see women being and high-paid jobs and all that, but inside, behind closed doors in the home, the men treat women. I'm not saying all men, I'm sorry, but some men treat women as like 100 of years ago. No changes. You have to do this, you have to do that. But outside the home, they are proud to have a beautiful woman as their wife, beautiful, intelligent, you know, and all that. But at home, it's a different story. You are not treated as equals. And if I can go as far as you're a slave, because you're not being paid for what you're doing. You're just doing it because you're the wife, the mother, right? Thank you.
I will just say something. Yes, we can. Right? No problem. Yes, definitely. So I'm going to go back to Sandra Koon again. Okay. So we talk a bit more about inspiration. So in your views, how can we inspire the young girls of today?
Okay, just before maybe I answer to this, I know that Caroline mentioned that behind every successful man is a successful woman. But I have also to acknowledge, we've been talking a lot about women, but I have to acknowledge and say that sometimes as well behind a successful woman is a successful man. So thank you for that. So to answer to your question, Kathleen, for me, the message that I would love to share to younger girls would be that you are capable. You are capable of great things. And you just have to look around you. There are actually really successful leaders. For example, there's the Queen Elizabeth, who's been the longest monarch who's in charge of the Commonwealth, of the whole Commonwealth. We have very inspirational women as well. We have Michelle Obama, Oprah, etc. So yeah, and here as well we have a very successful woman here as well. So we really have to. The message that I would want to pass on is you have to believe in what you can do. Like the sky is your limit, and you should not just be okay with just mediocre. You just have to go. Yeah, the sky is the limit. It's okay to make. We make mistakes. We fall down, but we learn from those mistakes, and that's actually how you grow. You should not be scared of this. So you should be able to take on those as learning experience in your life. And also, last but not least, of course, I would also want to say that as a young girl, if we don't do things differently, there will be no change. Okay, so Einstein just said, like, insanity is what is doing things over and over and expecting different results. And you just have to be the change that you want it to be.
Thank you, Sandra. Be the change. I think that's one of the motto of the New China Foundation. We wanted to be the change, right? The same question goes to Honorable Sandra Mayotte, but in politics, what would you suggest to young people to join politics?
I would tell the young girls, whatever the challenge, however hard, however big the challenge is, to never give up. Please do let your voice be heard so that you can help and save the lives of our future generation. Be the change of tomorrow. And look after those role models, as Sandra mentioned, Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, and there are so many other wonderful and powerful ladies all around the world, and even in Mauritius. I can take as role model my colleagues at the National Assembly, Subashni, Doreen. We are all role models for each other's, because it's very difficult for ladies, for us to be to sit at the National Assembly. It's very difficult. Not only when we are sitting there, but every day our lives have changed now. We are always bullied on social media. We suffer from regard des autres when we want to have a simple life, a normal life. We can't even now go to the supermarket to buy and buy fromage, because everyone will want to have a look at what we are buying. If we are buying caviar now because our life has changed. Yes, it's very difficult, but however it is, whatever the challenge is, please don't give up. Focus on the future. Do it for your country first. Put your country first. Put the people of the country first. And just tell yourself, yes, we can. Yes, you can. You can do it. If we've been able to do it, you can do it too.
Indeed, we can and we shouldn't give up, right? So I'll just conclude this session with Excellency. So leadership is one ability to influence others to do better, to achieve goals, right? We know that we women can do much better. We have heard since we started this talk, we can do a lot of things, right? We can really move forward. So what can we do to stand up? I mean, not we, but mostly to encourage the young people to stand up, not to give up, like Sandra just mentioned, and to encourage them to become leaders.
Thank you. I think the operative word here is it's a relay. It's not a race. It's a relay. It's a generation handing over the baton to another generation. So I got the baton from my mother and her mother, and I hand over the baton to my daughter, and so on. So it's we have to be aware of this. This is a relay that one generation has to embrace the other, has to learn from the experience of the one before it, and pass on its experience to the one after it. And we shouldn't reinvent the wheel. We should learn from other people's mistakes, so that I don't need. This is what I do when I was mentoring my younger colleagues in the ministry. I told them, I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. Why should I leave you to commit the same mistake and I watch you fall down? No. I will tell you, no, this way is the wrong way. The right way is this way. And I should embrace their enthusiasm. Like my daughter, she has a lot of enthusiasm and she asks me difficult, challenging questions. So I should be open to her enthusiasm and channel it in a way which is positive and be open to her ideas and her suggestions. Because she is coming from a place which is, everything is novel and everything she wants to try, but you have to be patient with the younger generation. And I would want to echo something that was said earlier, that when we women, we gain our rights, it's not at the expense of the men. We can gain our rights and men have their rights intact. That when I gain more rights, does it mean less rights for the men? And I get a bit anxious about the word, behind every man there is a woman, behind every woman there is a man. Why behind? We are side by side. The poet, the Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran said that two mighty trees cannot grow in each other's shadows. They grow side by side. We are partners. In life we are partners. It's not like a boss and a subordinate. No, it's a partnership. Life should be about a partnership between a man and a woman. We complement one another. So I believe that the younger generation must not embrace this Western style feminism and be sidelined and be blindsided by this. They shouldn't antagonize the males in the room or in the workplace. They shouldn't alienate them. They should let them be their partner, let them support them. As all of the panelists talked about, we are here to help one another, to complement one another. And this is the message that we are whole when we are together on the same team. We are playing on the same team. It's not the women team against the men team, because we all have a significant man in our lives, and you men have a significant woman in your lives. We are not like one alien species and another alien species. We are one species. So this putting men against women, it is counterproductive. So this is the message. Thank you.
Yeah, indeed. Again, I go back to gender equality. Really, really matters, right? So thank you so much for sharing